Hello everyone, I'm Sam.
And I'm Dave.
And welcome back to another episode of
The Control Chaos. Summer is at its peak, and what better way to kill time than staying at home and playing some video games?
Speaking of video games, thousands of video games get released every year. Some create records, some break records, and some stay unnoticed.
So today we're going to talk about...
Drum roll. There's no ascending or descending order here, we just talk about the video games that we have picked.
Universal Soldier was a single-player sci-fi game for the Mega Drive and Game Boy that was a rebranded version of Turrican 2: The Final Fight.
Made by Accolade, the game was a spin-off of Jean-Claude Van Damme's Universal Soldier, which came the same year. And Turrican's sprite was changed into a marine, and several other substitutions were made. Among other changes, the large steel dragon in the first stage was replaced by a large representation of Dolph Lundgren's character from the first Universal Soldier movie.
The three shoot-'em-up stages cut out from the original game were replaced by original stages from the film that relates to the game's theory of the film's atmosphere. The gameplay is like the more popular Contra, except it has a more vibrant background motion which wasn't available in the Turrican 2.
It is a survival horror video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, otherwise known as NES, and it was released by LGN Limited in 1989. The game is based on the film series of the same name and featured the hockey mask killer Jason Voorhees and his mother Pamela Voorhees.
So based on the movie, the game tells the story of 6 teenagers who go to Crystal Lake for camping and get hunted down by the undead serial killer Jason Voorhees. The game also features blood-sucking bats and zombies.
You can play as any of the 6 characters. While exploring Crystal Lake, the player will be attacked by Jason, and should Jason kill the player or the rest of the counselors or the teenagers, the game is over. In order to beat the game, you have to defeat Jason 3 times. With every time Jason loses, he comes back strong.
Save the world and get some fans. I dig it.
Rock of the Dead is a musical game developed by Epicenter Studios and distributed by Conspiracy Entertainment and UFO Interactive. The game was released on October 19, 2010 on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
The protagonist of the game is voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, who has the ability to defeat enemies with the power of rock music as he searches for his girlfriend. The player uses a guitar or a drum peripheral to control the game. There is a feature called Competitive Co-op that allows 2 players to play throughout the game. The game's graphics are good, but not good enough to be an Xbox or a PS3 game.
So, if we play 4 players together, then it's a band, I guess.
Okay. The music is the raw version of classical music, and the notes look like something from a Guitar Hero game.
Add zombies to a Guitar Hero game, and what do we have? Rock of the Dead. Yeah. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is a 2D platform video game developed by Imagineering that was released for NES in 1991 and Game Boy in 1992. The game is based on the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the animated series, which was based on the 1978 musical black horror comedy movie of the same name.
The game's protagonist is Shad Fieldletter, who is on a quest to stop the evil scientist Dr. Gangrene from unleashing his doomsday tomato in the city of San Zucchini.
Moving on, so the gameplay is pretty much simple. There are no complexity of motions even for an NES platform game. The basic goal is to stop the killer tomatoes by jumping on them, basically.
Like Mario.
Like Mario, yeah. And the gameplay is pretty much repetitive because all you have to do is jump on the tomatoes in order to stop them. In this case, squashing them or breaking them into smaller tomatoes. Since it's an NES game, it has those old school color scheme and pixelated images and sloppy background motion and monotone background music.
Cliffhanger was an action game developed by Spidersoft and Malibu Interactive and published by Sony ImageSoft and Psygnosis on Amiga, Sega Genesis, SNES, NES and Game Boy in 1993. It was based on the film of the same name starring Sylvester Stallone that was released in the same year.
The plot is about the protagonist Gabe, the character of Sylvester Stallone in the movie, and he is trying to rescue his partner Hal from the terrorist group that has kidnapped him, and they are demanding a certain amount of money that he has to pay.
In order to progress in the game, the player has to avoid enemies or attack them using a gun or a knife. There are also boss battles in the end of every level. The final boss is Colin, the leader of the terrorist group. The player can also collect money randomly placed in the environment to increase game score. Mad World is a third-person hack-and-slash game for the Wii, which was developed by Platinum Games and published by Sega and Spike in the year of 2009.
Set in the fictional city of Varagon, which is also now the platform for the fictional deathmatch called Deathwatch. The protagonist Jack, who is a former Marine, a former police officer, and a rogue agent, he goes on a rescue mission to the city, but ends up getting involved in the deathmatch.
The gameplay is from a third-person perspective using the Wii Remote and Nunchuck extensions. The goal is to explore the open world while fighting foes and mini-bosses on each level. Also, a certain amount of points are required to fight the main bosses on each level. The game also features motorcycle and bloodbath challenges. The game's graphics are heavily inspired by Frank Miller's Sin City and is also accused of featuring over-the-top violence. But the designer of the game, Shigenori Nishikawa, wanted it to be seen as a comical light despite the darker tones of the game. Spider-Man is an action game developed by Atari and published by Parker Brothers for the Atari 2600 in 1982. It was the first video game that featured Spider-Man and also the first Marvel Comics based video game.
The game is about reaching to the top basically. You operate as Spider-Man while swinging your way up to the building, which features random civilians and bombs in its windows. You can swing across the civilians to save them and avoid the bombs by not touching them. Besides that, there's a Green Goblin who mostly hovers above the top of the building. And you also need to avoid being collided with Goblin. There are also criminals who you can capture by shooting your web at them. And once you climb to the top of the building, the level ends. And the game also features a multiplayer option. We have been talking about good games, decent games so far. So let's just talk about a game which is so bizarre that it might make you go, what the fuck were they thinking when they made it? We all know how weird Japan can be. From tentacle porn to strange inventions, Japan has never ceased amusing us. Did I say porn? Okay, so Super Pretty Brothers is a Japanese game that was released on Nintendo Wii, probably somewhere in 2008. It started as an April Fool joke, but then we did make the game. In case you still haven't gotten it, the P is an innuendo for a P. So PII is an innuendo for PEE. Yes, you put on the Wii controller, then you do this.
Your aim is to pee endlessly inside the 3 toilets as the game prompts without spilling it on the floor. And there is a cat who for unknown reasons comes out of the toilet and you have to pee on it. What? Yes, look at this shit.
I can't even process it. So there you have it. 8 video games that you never knew existed, probably till now.
So do you agree with the list? Let us know in the comments down below.
Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet.
So we will see you again in another segment of the Controlled Chaos. Till then,
Peace out. Seriously, leave a like.